Welcome back to Keto and Crime. I know I've been absent for a little while, except for a short and a very short video in defense of my friend Stephanie Harlow. But I was on vacation. It was glorious to have 2 weeks away from the day job and just social media in general. I tried to stay away from it and just relax my brain. But it was great, and I did miss you guys, and I'm really glad to be back. And as promised, the final wrap-up of my coverage of the Daybell case, at least until Lori Vallow's trial in the matter of Charles Vallow gets underway in Arizona. And I will be covering that, just like I did the Lori Vallow trial and the Chad Daybell trial, Idaho versions. But we wrap it up by, the last time we talked, I said that Chad Daybell would not be listed as a death row inmate until the Superior Court of Idaho had ruled that yes, he was okay to be declared death row and put on death row, and then his automatic appeal will start, and then any other appeals that he has, his attorneys work on. I understand that they will be replacing John Pryor with somebody that is death row certified to assist with those appeals, because I have a feeling that some of his appeals will revolve around inadequate legal defense. But you also have to remember that he chose Pryor. He did not get a state defense attorney. He made a separate arrangement with John Pryor, using his home as collateral for that, and so a lot of that is on him. But I think he's still going to use that as a way to get an appeal mashed through. I'm also to understand that Lori Vallow's two attorneys, John Thomas and his compadre, are two of the only death row certified defense attorneys in the area. So if it hadn't have been another state appointed, it would have been them, which would have been a conflict of interest as well. So not a good outlet there on attorneys. But anyway, so as of a few weeks ago, Chad Daybell is listed on the Idaho Department of Corrections website as being kept at the state maximum security state facility outside Boise in Kuno, Idaho. He is listed among 9 other death row inmates as one of them. So the only female on death row in Idaho is housed in Pocatello. So these are all the males, and as you can see, Chad Guy Daybell is prisoner number 158991 with that smirk. We'll take a look at some of the other photos here, and we'll see why to have a smirk like this is just... As you can see, convicted in June of 2024, 3 counts of first-degree murder in the cases of 2 stepchildren and his ex-wife. So if you take a look at some of the other death row inmates, a little bit of a, whatever smirk there, but he is basically arson and the murder of his ex-wife, so a lot of wife killers here. Beating death of another inmate in Ada County. Killing a woman while committing first-degree bank robbery. Murder of 2 in Bannock County. 2 counts of rape and for killing 2 women. So a lot of female killers here. So Chad, I guess a smirk isn't that unusual. It's just it made me so mad. But beating death of 2 people, and shooting of a police officer, which shooting of a police officer is automatically a death row level offense in Idaho. It's one of those one of the mitigating circumstances around death row. And then here is a picture of the woman. She is held at a separate prison in Pocatello, but the arson deaths of her husband, son, and daughter. So a lot of family annihilators and killers of women or spouses in general on death row. So interesting enough. So Chad Daybell is listed there. What do we know about his status? Well, he's going to remain on death row, and from all of my research, death row inmates are kept under lock and key. They're only allowed out of their cells, which are very, very small, usually like a 10 by 8 kind of thing. So it's basically enough room for a bed, a sink, a toilet, maybe a little chair with a writing desk, though not all of them have that. They're only allowed out of that 1 hour per day, and that includes time to shave, bathe, and get meals, although meals are often brought to them. So basically, shave and take care of personal hygiene. They are allowed exercise time, but that is not daily. That is usually 3 to 4 times per week for about 3 to 4 hours per week. So they're only allowed out for an hour solid to exercise about 3 to 4 times a week. Don't let any of this make you feel sorry for any of them. They are kept under these, what prevents you from ending up in these situations? Don't kill anybody. That's a good way. Idaho is most often used as lethal injection, but there is now the option of a firing squad. I am not sure what the procedure is for that, but most likely Chad, after spending an average of about 10 to 15 years on death row, will probably face lethal injection. So that's how they're kept in. They're allowed a couple of visitors per week, but they pretty much have to remain in handcuffs most of the time. Now, rules do vary about what they're allowed to have in their cell. Some of them do have, laptops. Others just are allowed reading material, and that reading material is heavily scrutinized. Often just a book of faith and maybe one other book. So it depends. It depends on the system and the page. They'll be kept in these conditions until they're either until they're let out on appeal, or their sentence is downgraded to life in prison or some other, in which case they'll be sent to general population, or until the execution occurs. And normally, within 48 hours of their execution, they're transferred from their cells to what is known as the death house. And I've watched a lot of different videos and read a lot of things to come up with this kind of timeline. They're taken to the death house, often taken to the death house up to 7 days before their prescribed execution. And they're held there in a cell where they're kept under 24-hour guard, including a suicide watch. They're allowed to have visitors of friends, family, and clergy. And then when it gets to be about 24 hours before, they're basically ordered to bathe. Their body is completely shaved in a lot of instances, depending on the type of death, particularly if they're using the electric chair. They are completely shaved. They are given a special suit that they will wear during their execution, and then just before they are taken to the death chamber, they are given their last meal. A lot of states still allow them to choose their own last meal, but it's normally within a prescribed budget, up to X amount that they're allowed to choose. Idaho is one of those that does not allow a special last meal. It's simply whatever the prison is serving that day. So that does vary from state to state, and then they are taken into the chamber. They are strapped to the death table, and the procedure begins, all in earshot of a phone in case there's some last-minute acquittal or it's commuted or something like that. So that is a life that Chad Daybell has ahead of him. I hope getting with Dime Store Barbie was worth it, and I hope that he is haunted by the memory of his wife Tammy and Tylee and JJ. That is what Chad is facing right now. In other news of interest, immediately, all the speculation, his and Tammy's former marital home was immediately put up on Zillow within a week of the verdict for $350,000, and with all kinds of disclaimers showing that it was the setting of a crime and to make sure you have your realtor check into that. But here's all the photos. We're not going to scroll through them. I'm sure you have all seen them, but it is a nice little house, I have to admit. 4 bedroom, 1 bath, 2 baths, a full and a half bathroom, main level, and then they talk, of course, about the cozy cone. And as you can see, it's going with all the appliances and things like that. So $350,000. The recent tax appraisal was right around that, so that is legitimate. And it also says that there is a very tragic situation with this home. Have your realtor investigate it for you. From what I've understood, they were screening potential buyers to make sure they weren't just somebody that was interested in the crime and wanted to go tour the house. So you had to fill out a long form and basically prove that you were a qualified buyer. So this is the house, and from what I understand, it is currently under contract. So they got an offer really quick. I'm sure that is depending on inspection and other things as to whether or not that sale will go through. So that is the current status of the home. And so all the rumors about Emma and her family moving out were correct. I'm sure they are either have moved out or are in the process of moving out while keeping the house ready for viewing. So that is my final update on Chad Daybell until the trial in Arizona starts. And later this week, I will be back with yet another video, I think on a very important topic, and I will see you all then. Until next time, I'm really happy to be back, and until then, keto and crime.